Yo, 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 good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today, I'm going to be here doing a Honkai Star Rail tier list because tier lists are fun and I like doing them. And the tiers I'll be going through, I'll sort of explain how I'm judging them, like what I consider each tier to be. So S is they're good in any situation, no matter where you put them, they will be good. A is good, but maybe a little bit situational. B is niche, but in that niche, they fill it well. C is they are okay, but not really the best for the best option for that role, for that slot. And D is they're just kind of bad. They need help. You could use them, but not the best. So, starting things off with Argenti. And don't have is I don't have them. I'm not going based off what other people say. This tier list is based off of my experience with the units. So that's why there's a don't have tier, because it's for units that I don't have. So we started with Argenti. I think he is a solid A tier unit. Erudition just doesn't really have a niche right now. Pure Fiction hasn't. It's not out yet. So if Pure Fiction comes out and physical damage is good and if physical damage is useful in Pure Fiction when it releases, I think Argenti could move up to S tier, but for now, I think high A tier, I mean like the top of A tier is pretty good. Arlan, sadly, the second unit we look at today has to go into D tier. He is not very good, and it is sad to say, but it's Arlan. He's a worse blade. Asta, however, while she may not be very good, she does fill a very, very specific niche of being speed boosting and fire breaking. In those two things, she is quite good at, but that is a hyper specific niche that isn't as necessary as you might think it is. Bailu, this might be a controversial take. A standard banner 5-star character, I think, worse than Arlan. She doesn't have a cleanse. If you ever need to use her revive, you've already lost the fight. Her heal, my boy, fine, I'll hold you. Come here. The total amount she can heal is alright, but with it being RNG based, it's unreliable healing, no cleanse, and functionally no talent, because if you ever need to use her talent, you've already lost the fight. So yeah. I just don't think Bailu is very good. I genuinely think she's one of the worst characters, if not the worst character in the game. Up next, we have Blade. I'm torn between low A to like high B. I think I'll stick with A for now and maybe move him down to B later. But my reasoning is he is a very good unit, although he's a high-risk, high-reward unit. He has a lot of HP, can do a lot of damage, but he eats through his HP quite quickly. And if he gets targeted down by high damage hits, not a lot of hits, but like 1 or 2 high damage hits, he can just straight up kill himself because his skill consumes a lot of HP. If he can get through the first 2 rounds of a fight, he's set, but those first 2 rounds, he's very squishy if you don't have a good sustain to back him up. Clara, however, will be going into the B tier, I believe. Her counterattack is very good, but that's kind of her entire thing, is she's the counterattack character. And if you get into a situation where she's just not getting hits, then she's not really doing a whole lot, which means if you're unlucky and she's not getting hits, she's not going to do anything. I think I might just put all of the don't haves in the don't have tier right now. That being I don't have Bronya. I don't have Hanya. I don't have Topaz. I don't have Kafka. Don't have Fu Xuan or Silverwolf. So yeah, these are all the ones I don't have. If I ever pull them, maybe I'll do a part 2. I'll do another tier list in like 1.7. Maybe I'll have pulled one of them. Who knows? But I think our first S tier is going to be Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae. He just does so much damage. I can't not put him here. He is very, very strong. And he needs very little help other than a skill point positive team to make him work. And that's not hard to build. Little Dan Heng, however, I think I'm going to put him in C tier. And one of the big things that's keeping Little Dan Heng from going into D tier for me is the talent which gives him wind penetration. What is it, like 30% wind penetration is absolutely insane. Every 2 turns, you just can nuke someone with your ults. And that's why I think he earns a spot in the C tier. Up next, we have the Fire Trailblazer. Where do I put him? He has been power crept a bit in the game, but genuinely, I think he is a solid B tier character. I think most characters will fit in B tier. I think will be the most populated category, because every character has a niche that they're good in, theoretically. Because I think that's where they should be. If you ideally, B tier would be the most plentiful. But Fire Trailblazer, damage mitigation for the team, slight shield for the team, and he can draw aggro to himself. Those are all very good traits. Just the numbers quite aren't there. If it was a defensive ult rather than an ult that just deals damage, I think it could be so much better. But with how he works, I think B tier is a good spot for him. And alongside him, I think Gepard has kind of fallen off a bit recently. The big shield is not as useful as it used to be, but it's still good. I think he is better than the Fire Trailblazer, but actually, I'm going to move him to A tier. I was forgetting about how good his freeze is. He has a freeze on his skill, so he's able to freeze enemies that aren't weak to ice. The shield is very, very strong. It's pretty much, you can get, with a little bit of energy regen rope, you can get infinite shield. The shield is always up. So I think A tier for Gepard is a good spot to be. But Guinaifen, she is a B tier character in my opinion. Stacking burn, Fire Kiss, making it so your entire team deals more damage against enemies who are burned. The ability to burn enemies who aren't normally weak to fire. And yeah, it just does everything you want a character like her to do. She debuffs enemies by making them take damage over time with the burn, and makes it so enemies take more damage with the Fire Kiss talents. I think that's just a solid B tier character. She doesn't do anything insane, which would push her up into A or S tier, but what she does do, she does very well. So, that's a B tier character. Herta, I think, is a D tier character right now. Ice just has so many other better units than her, and what her gimmick is, hitting enemy, doing her spin when an enemy hits half health, just is not very useful right now. You might get a few spins a fight, but unless the enemy is spawning a lot of adds, as soon as the boss gets down to half health and you do the spin once, you're really not going to be getting it very many more procs of it. But same thing with Argenti, how when we get to Pure Fiction, I always forget what it's called, and we get one that's full of ice weak enemies, Herta could become very useful, but until we see that, and we see what the enemy types we get are, she's just going to be sitting down in D tier. Hate to say it, but yeah. Himeko, where do I put you? I think B tier. She has a very similar gimmick to Herta, where She's all about her follow-up attack is a big part of her kit. But where Herta is conditional on the enemy's HP, Himeko's follow-up attack is based off the enemy's toughness. And breaking an enemy's toughness is much easier to do multiple times in a fight than dropping them below half HP, which you can only do once per fight. So that's why I think Himeko is just all around better than Herta, even though they have functionally very similar kits. Hook. I'm either B, like low B or high C. I'm going to go with high C for now. She's a character that can apply, like Guinaifen, can apply burn to enemies who normally are not weak to fire. But she doesn't apply Fire Kiss or any other sort of debuffs that make it so the entire team deals more damage. She herself just does more damage to burned enemies. So, C tier it is. Whoa, whoa. I think that's a solid A tier character. She's not insane. Her healing isn't... Her skill... The healing from her skill is insane. Her talent's healing is not as good, but all the cleansing you get with it does make it very, very useful. So personally, I think Quopo is probably the top of A tier. Almost an S tier character, but just not quite doing it. Speaking of characters who are almost at a tier but not quite, I think Yuan is a B tier character. I absolutely love Yuan. He is my most used lightning damage character in the game. If I ever need lightning DPS, Yuan is who I grab. But with the way Lightning Lord works, whenever Yuan gets CC'd, it's just not very good. If Yuan is frozen, he's imprisoned, he's whatever the quantum CC is called, entangled. If he's ever inflicted with any of those, Lightning Lord just does nothing, and that just feels bad. But when he does work, he can deal a decent amount of damage. It's just not as consistent as I would like it to be. But it's finally time for another S tier character, Jingliu. This is a character that is absolutely insane. Oh, my boy, can you please... Okay, what I was saying, Jingliu is a character who is actually surprisingly easy to build and is very low investment, in my opinion. Her talent when she's in her enhanced states, not using skill points, as well as getting a 50% crit rate buff to herself, means you can just stack a whole bunch of crit damage. Even if you don't get a single crit rate substat, she's guaranteed to have 55% crit rate when she's in her enhanced form, which is still pretty good. Just stack as much crit damage as you want and kill everything in front of you. Luka. See, this is a weird situation. I have Luka, but I don't have experience using him. So I'm just, even though I own Luka, I'm going to put him in don't have because I have very little experience using Luka. So rather than giving a take that is just completely unfounded and I just go away, my boy. Go. He's like sticking his face in things he's not supposed to. Rather than giving a take that is sort of just me bullshitting my way through it, I'm just going to be honest and say, I don't know what Luka does exactly. I have him. I need to build him. So, he's going there for now. S tier Luocha. Best healer in the game, in my opinion. So much healing. Cleansing allies debuff, removing enemies buffs. He just does everything you want a support to do. He is going in S tier. Follow up that abundance character with another abundance character. Lynx is going into the B tier. She has decent healing with her skill. It applies healing over time, and Her ult is a cleanse. It's kind of everything you want an abundance character to do. And she's all right. She's not exciting. She's not exciting. That's why she's not up here. She's not boring. So that's why she's not down here. She just sort of does what you want a healer to do. So she's B tier. B for basic. I don't know. March, sadly, is going into the D tier. I absolutely adore March. She is an amazing character, but she's not very good. Her shield is not very strong. Her follow-up attacks are not very strong. Her ult's freeze chance is not very good. All around, there's nothing very memorable about March. The thing that I think is making her better than Bailu, that's making me want to consider moving her farther up on the D tier or maybe even low C tier, is... Actually, I can't remember. Is it one of her traces or eidolons that makes so her shield cleanses? I think it's a trace. See, if it's a trace that gives the shield the cleanse effect, easy bottom of C tier. If it's an eidolon, I'm going to put her back into D tier. I'm going to go with the assumption that it's a trace and move her into the bottom of C tier just because it's March and I like March. So, yes. Natasha's D tier. In my opinion, she's better than Bailu because her skill is not RNG. She has a cleanse, and yeah, no RNG and a cleanse. That is what you need in a healer. I don't like RNG. Physical Trailblazer. D tier. They're just boring. I don't know what else to say. They're uninteresting and they're boring. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna complain about me putting Physical Trailblazer down here. Pela. I think you will be bottom of A tier. Just reducing defense is just so valuable that I feel like you can't even argue about her being... I don't think anyone's going to be upset about me putting her in A tier. I feel like more people would be upset about me not putting her in S tier. But I'm putting her in A tier because, well, it's Pela. Defense shred is just so good. Is Silverwolf the only other character that can shred defense? I think Silverwolf is the only other character. And I don't have Silverwolf, so... Pela. Xingque. So this is a weird character. Xingque is one of those characters where... Oh, she's not next on the list anyways. Ruan Mei. S tier. I don't know. The S tier is not really in any order. It's hard... Because these are all characters that are just... You have them on the team's just better no matter what. So... break efficiency, damage boost, enemies stay broken longer. She's just insane. She makes the game quite a bit easier. But as I was saying about Xingque, she is a character who can do nothing or she will do everything. She is RNG based, and I don't like RNG based, but also, weirdly enough, I like Xingque. It's a conundrum. She's going in A tier, and I don't care what anyone says. She is funny. I like the fish tiles. They are my favorites. So Sampo is in a similar situation to me as Luka. I have him. I've never used him. So he's going in don't have because I may technically have him. Functionally, I don't have him. Seele, this feels painful to do. I think she's going to the top of B tier right now. And hear me out. I know Seele is great. She is strong. She does a lot of damage. Single target's bad right now. Let's be honest. Especially when Seele, her whole kit revolves around her killing things to be able to kill more things, to be able to kill more things. If she's never able to kill anything because there's only one big enemy on the board, then she functionally doesn't have a talent, and she loses a lot of her damage. So, top of B tier, I think, is reasonable. Up next is Serval. I'm thinking B tier. She's technically an erudition character, but in my heart of hearts, she's a nihility character. And she's all about applying shock, dealing damage to shocked enemies. And that is a niche that is very good when enemies are weak to lightning. When you're going through Belobog and sections of the Xianzhou, Luofu, and almost everything is weak to lightning, she can carry you through that stuff. But as soon as you start coming against enemies who are not weak to lightning, she falls off so hard. I just keep hitting my microphone. Why do I keep doing that? So I think B tier is a good spot for her because she is niche, and in that niche, she is good. This feels weird to say. I think at the way the game is right now, I think Sushang is better than Seele. And to hear me out, Seele needs to kill things to get her extra turn. Sushang just needs to press ult. I genuinely think that makes Sushang better than Seele at the moment. It feels blasphemous to say this, because in my mind, Sushang was always Seele at home, but right now, Seele at home might actually be better than Seele. Tingyun is in a weird situation right now where I want to put her in S tier, and I'm going to put her in S tier. I don't care. I know she has some real competition for team slots right now, because Ho-Ho gives energy, Ruan Mei gives damage, but she gives attack, damage, and energy. So, yeah, she's going there. Welty boy. He's either high A, high B, low A. I think I'm going to go low A. He's really good at breaking enemies who are weak to imaginary, and his ults, and he breaks. He's really good at breaking enemies. He slows enemies, and he imprisons enemies. And being an imaginary unit, there are so many things in this game that are weak to imaginary that just makes him so versatile. Xuyue. I think she might be the highest B rank character in the game right now, in my opinion. I know her single target damage is not as strong as Seele, how do you want to pronounce her? But I think she's just a much more versatile unit, and I think that's the big issue with this right now is just hunt characters are not good, and destruction characters are good. And she's just a destruction Seele, in my opinion. God, I'm starting to lose my voice a bit from talking for like 25 minutes. Yangsheng, I don't think anyone's going to care about me putting Yangsheng in C tier. If he gets hit, he does nothing. He's all about not getting hits, and you have to build a very specific team comp around him to do that. Primarily like Gepard or Fire Trailblazer, and just pray the enemy doesn't hit him. And I think Yukong is a solid A tier character. she has a huge attack buff with her skill. I think it's like 80%, something like that. And then her ult gives massive crit stat buffs, like 29% crit rate, 54% crit damage, I think. That is so many stats to give to your entire team. I think she's a solid A tier unit. But this is my... where do I point? I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Point. There you go. That is my tier list. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. And adios.